What's the name of the brewery?
Mothers. Oh, yay.
1988. August.
Okay.
Self-titled album comes out. It's called Danzig.
Mm.
And there's a song on it called Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
I'm Dolan.
I thought he was going to go with I'm Chugsuckle.
Oh my goodness.
He was going to ruin the ear. He was going to spoil the name again.
He went normal.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe for the first time ever. He just went, I'm Dolan.
There we go.
I'm Dolan.
You never know what to expect with this guy. That's why I love him.
That's absolutely true. So here's what I do know. Dolan is the one that makes us sound so good. When
I wish he could do something about the looking part, but I'll take sounds.
No. Sound fine. Looks.
That's more out of his hands. Yeah, I get it.
No. Right. This week we go back to Springfield, Missouri, courtesy of our friend Aaron Biddle and fellow Atlas employee.
Yep.
We go back to Springfield to Mother's Brewing Company. Oh,
this can art is amazing, by the way.
Can art, like it's very 60s kind of.
Yeah.
Who is that guy? Who was the guy? Oh my gosh, he was a comic book guy. Why can't
Robert Crumb?
Crumb. There we go. I mean, isn't that him?
We are on the same wavelength, my man.
Right? That is him. That is so his style.
Either that or it's like some psychedelic like concert poster or something.
Sure.
Got that cool. That's a guy almost got like a glittery feel on the label itself. So when the light hits it, a little bit different. I've never even heard of this beer before.
So Aaron sent us this beer. So Aaron lives in St. Louis, obviously. He sent us a number of beers. We've had this beer. Our friends at TRS down in Arkansas get distribution on this beer. So they sent us was it the coffee stout that we did back on episode 83?
It might have been Winter Grind, maybe.
Winter Grind. That's it.
Yep. That's the one.
Which was the one I wasn't very excited. If I remember right, I wasn't very excited about.
You don't like coffee stouts or something?
No, which is weird because I love coffee. It was one of my favorite beers from that shipment that he sent to us. Aaron sent this probably 3 or 4 weeks back, and we have since asked for a second shipment.
Oh,
because there are people here in the office, and much like Fairy Nectar here in Omaha, say, I'm not an IPA fan. This is a 6.5% New England style IPA, and they love it.
When you pour this one, it looks like if you didn't know what it was, you poured it in there, you'd know it's a hazy IPA for sure.
Oh, it is without a doubt a hazy IPA.
I wish I would have got more than one can of this then. It's as good as everybody says.
There could be at least one, but then he sent us at least 2 more 4-packs, and they went home with people already.
Oh my goodness!
So it was very popular when Aaron sent that first.
I mean, I've known Biddle the longest. I'm just going to put it out there. So
have you?
Yeah.
I think you might be right.
We have history. So
you're right.
Whatever. I mean, if it sucks, I don't want one, but I haven't tasted it yet. So.
Oh, here's the thing. It doesn't suck.
This smells amazing.
I've had it, and I don't generally drink a beer before we do it on A Beer with Atlas, or if I've had it, it's been a while or whatever. Right. This I had to see what the hype was about.
Okay.
Someone out here actually said it's better than Fairy Nectar, which I think is blasphemy.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Right,
so I am going to be in Springfield in 2 days. As of when this
airs.
This airs.
That's right.
So I
You
might
better
have to
load up, my man.
go load up a little bit.
Mhm.
Well, I haven't
Ooh.
tried it yet, so we'll see.
Oh,
I'm gonna say right now, this is Dolan style, all day long,
Yep.
every day, twice on
Yep.
Sundays.
that thing's legit good.
Mhm.
Oh wow,
Right?
that's really good.
And here's the thing: is it better than whatever? It is a damn good New England style IPA.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to go to random place and just say, "Give me a hazy IPA," and this is what they gave you, you would order 2 and then 3 and
Yeah.
then see where the night goes.
That's good. Yeah, it smells hoppier than it tastes, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It smells like
true.
it's going to be a little bit dank, and
Mhm.
which is dry hopping. I mean, that's what that's
Right.
for, the aroma. It doesn't leak over into the flavor, so
Yep.
don't be scared when you lift this up to your mouth and you smell it, because it doesn't taste that hoppy. But man, does it smell good, and it tastes phenomenal. This is a great beer.
I'd like to know. So Karen Andreessen is, the experience specialist here at Atlas. So if you're on a contract with us and you've ever had something sent to you, or you've done an Atlas adventure, she's the one that's booked it. Is not an IPA fan at all, and she is in love with this beer. Absolutely fell in love with it.
I guess that's one of the perks about still being in the office.
Yes.
You get to try these delicious beers. And then me and Dolan just have to wait for the episodes. But whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I knew it was good enough after I tried it that both of you would like it. And so that's why I added it to the schedule.
Isn't that what's fun about it? Because
Yeah.
another thing about, it's a social thing, usually drinking beers, right? But it's kind of fun to drink something and be like, oh, I know somebody that would love this.
Yes.
And you save one can out of the 4-pack or whatever, and you give it to them. And
Yep.
it's kind of the same thing for me when I turn people on to different kind of music. I feel like I can pair people's beer personalities pretty well after, a certain amount of time, getting to know what they like and don't like. So it's just another fun little wrinkle in the game of craft beer.
Yep. Exactly.
Although sometimes that is flipped on me sometimes. Like, I'll know some friends that are really into a style, and I'll try something that I just think of them and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to love it. And then they don't.
Oh, well, they're
That's happened
the
to me
ones
a
that are
couple
wrong.
times.
You're the one that has a beer podcast. They don't. So
That's true.
Just
That is true.
take that bona fides, and enjoy it.
Yep. I don't have a ton of research about Mothers. We did it last time. Founded in 2011 by a guy named Jeff Schrag, Schrag. Here's what I thought was interesting, though. I don't think I went to the Wikipedia page last time.
Okay.
I've read some poorly written Wikipedia pages before.
Yeah.
This might be the worst.
Oh.
It's bad. Here's the thing. There's a number of videos on their website. If you just Google Mother's Brewing Company, Springfield, Missouri right, you Google, if you put it in YouTube and just go look up YouTube, it's this Jeff guy seems like a normal dude. Like, he seems like just a normal brewer guy. He's not the brewer, right? He was just, and they're very clear on the Wikipedia page that he's listed as entrepreneur, which, okay, fine. Whatever. So he's not, I don't believe he's that guy. I believe he probably wanted a good beer.
Yeah.
And went and bought a building, which it sounds like, then found a brewer for it. And then they started Mother's Brewing Company. So whether or not he brews, I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah. Their Wikipedia page is bad. It is bad. I mean, there's some misspellings. It's crowdfunded, right? I mean, crowdsourced.
Sure. Anybody can update it, right?
But it seems very, boastful, if that's boastful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is the opposite of their website, because the website is
The
amazing.
opposite.
It's so beautiful. I really like their website. When I was just kind of sneaking through there, because I always have to check out what gear is available. Do I need a hat? Do I need a shirt? I don't need them, but I sure like to look at them all the time.
Oh, Jenny and I have had this argument before: need versus want. Right?
I don't really distinguish the two, especially when it comes to beer merchandise. But I was looking through their website and I was looking about like the who's on the team sort of tab. I think there was like who works here, who are the mothers, and their website was just beautiful. I just really enjoyed it. One of the best ones I've seen.
It is very, very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, their team page was really cool. I just sat watching it. I didn't even click on anybody's bio. I just watched it for.
And they all had like different titles and nicknames and like what they did. And it had nothing really to do with work from what I could understand. It was like sexiest beard. One of the guys was, I remember. I was like, oh, that's a good, I like that one.
And obviously Atlas has evolved a lot over the years. I still think we maintain a certain amount of our youthful innocence, our startup at times that I'll never let us let that go. But I feel like that's something that we would do in a way or whatever. I mean, that's, what does a beer podcast have to do with placing a travel nurse at, in Reno, Nevada? Nothing, quite honestly. Right. Yeah. But we do it anyway, because it has a lot to do with it if you dig deep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's in Washoe County, by the way. I mean, just so you know.
There you go.
Background checks. So, here's a couple of things I want to talk about just with the beer itself. Yep. This has Citra and Centennial hops, which are two of the 3 C's that we've talked about before. The third C is Cascade. So these are some of the, OG IPA hops, which you don't normally consider when you're thinking about New England style IPAs. It's more of those are usually, it's kind of like a Midwest combination. That's usually what we can get around here. So for them to turn out a beer like that tastes like this is pretty great.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought was interesting on their website, and I think it's different on the can. It tells you what to pair it with. So on the can, it says, try it with barbecued shrimp. I was like, oh, that's fairly specific. And on their website, it says, okay, it pairs really good with shrimp and grits, which is a southern thing. But in this part of Missouri, Dolan, correct me if I'm wrong, this is fairly southern Missouri, right?
Yeah.
So
it's on the south side of Missouri,
we're gonna call it the South. Shrimp and grits, that's a southern thing. Then it says also tastes good with strawberry walnut salad, which is, lettuce with walnuts and strawberry. So it's a fresh summer salad.
Okay.
And then caramel apple pie. So those are all 3 very different things, but you get to have the beer with your main course, maybe your appetizer, and then your dessert.
I would 100% agree with that. I would totally agree with that.
But they were really specific things. It wasn't like, try this with, baked chicken. It was like, try this with, whatever. So I thought that was interesting. Like right away, somebody that works there must be a cook or a chef or, something like that. Like a little bit elevated as far as pairings. Usually it's like, try this with our pretzel. Yeah, cool. Anybody can do that.
Is he would that be the sexy beard guy?
It might be. I don't know.
Maybe.
Sexy taste bud guy. Maybe that guy's there. Maybe he knows what's up.
Maybe.
It says that it's supposed to have a dank, resiny aroma with some citrus. And I would agree with that. Like it definitely smells hoppier than it's going to taste.
Yep.
I'm an old school IPA guy, so I don't mind that hoppy taste, but that definitely turns most people off to IPAs. So probably 2 out of 3 of us are happy that it doesn't taste like that. And then I kind of happened to just fall into this research. Okay. And of course it was music related. One of the things I thought of instantly, I was like, aha, we've talked about this brewery before, and we talked about Springfield.
Yep.
And what can I do that's a little bit different? So I started down that rabbit hole. And then I looked at the can and I was like, duh, it's right on here. I have to go there too. So I think I'll do there it is, that part first. Long Strange Trip.
Yeah.
We'll start with that.
I was hoping you'd go there.
That is part of the chorus to a Grateful Dead song called Truckin'. Came out.
Truckin'. Can you put that in right here, Dolan? Truckin'.
Yeah, just dump it right in there. It's off the November 1st, 1970 release of American Beauty, which to me is the best Grateful Dead album. Now, I grew up an adamant Grateful Dead hater. like Hater's Ball, hate. I did not like Grateful Dead.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I got a little older and I had been into a few different genres that I kind of understood where it, was coming from. And this album that mostly is shorter songs. They're known for their long jams and stuff. Most songs on this album are 4 minutes or so. So they're probably their most commercial album. And this was there until like the 80s. This was their highest charted song, was Truckin'. So I'm going to get into that a little bit here. And how it kind of, I think, ties into the can art. Because if you look at that again, it's pretty psychedelic influenced. It looks a little bit like the Grateful Dead has this logo. They have a few. They have the bear. And they also have this like walking man. He has a long white beard. And that was like their late 60s logo.
Totally.
Kind of like has that mixed in, and there's some psychedelic-y things. We know that hops and Mary Jane are in the same family. There's some what maybe appears to be some magic-y mushrooms
maybe
on the can. And then, of course, it just says Long Strain Strip. There you go.
Are you talking about that guy right there? Yeah.
Nope.
No?
Look even older. It's even older than that. That's
even
like
older.
That's like late 70s, 80s stuff there. But so I'll just get into a little bit about that song and kind of how it ties into this beer from what I can tell. Grateful Dead was one of those bands, kind of like, I don't know if there's really ever been a band like this, where the guy that writes lyrics isn't even in the band. So they had like an official lyricist, and he would write the words to the songs. He would listen, he would hear the tapes or go to the, like practice or whatever. And then he would write the lyrics. And then usually Jerry would sing the lyrics. And
do you tell me Jerry Garcia had nothing to do with the lyrics?
No. There's a guy named Robert Hunter, and he was like the lyricist guy.
Okay.
And around this time, they'd had a few albums out, no big success. And in late 69, which was a great time to go on tour in America, I would guess.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Robert, you know what? We're just not hitting where we want to. We want to express the road, because the Grateful Dead, if anything, they're known as a touring band. Like, they have more live albums than you can possibly listen to in your lifetime. They have archives and bootlegs, and like people trade their live albums around. Like, there's a whole scene for that. And that's what they're known for. Not so much their recorded albums, but their live stuff. So they decided, let's bring Robert on the road so he can see and engage in these experiences that the band is having, and then figure out a way to work those into the actual songs themselves, which is a good idea. If you're not in the band, but you're writing lyrics, you should probably go with the band, right? And see what they're doing.
Sure.
So he writes the lyrics for this song, and it's basically a song about being on the road and about going from one concert to the next concert, trucking all their gear and all their people and all their fans. That's another thing about Grateful Dead, is their fans follow them. At least they used to. So there'd be, you'd go on tour with them, basically, kind of like Fish. That's the most current version, I could say.
I would say most of the Grateful Dead followers have now followed Fish.
Yeah.
On tour, right.
That jam bandy sort of stuff, that it's like a whole town. When the show comes to your town, the parking lot's its own little city. And currency is whatever you want it to be, and there's anything you can find, and that's just how it is, and that's how it's probably been since the 60s. And there's some band out there right now that's kind of doing that thing too.
Sure.
The album version of Truckin' is about 5 minutes long. It's on the B side of the album, so the flip side of the vinyl. The radio edit, they cut out about a minute and a half of the song, so it went down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which in 1970 was even still a little long for radio, because a lot of the hit songs were like 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes long. And it wasn't really a hit per se. It charted. This was the highest charted song they ever had, like I said before, until the 80s. It went to number 64. Ooh. So we're not talking, burning up Billboard. In 1987, Touch of Grey outcharted it, and it had a video on MTV. And that's kind of where
with the playing guitar skeletons.
Yeah. That's where that came from.
I gotta tell you, I don't know a lot of Grateful Dead. I do enjoy Touch of Grey quite a bit. I like Truckin'. That was a fine song.
Touch of Grey is just a good pop song.
It's just a good song. Yeah.
I agree. Websites and blogs and all sorts of stuff breaking down Grateful Dead live shows. And this one, they tracked it as being performed 520 times. So it makes it the 8th most performed Grateful Dead song, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
That shows how many shows they played.
Wow.
Because they had to have at least played 520 shows, right?
Yep.
That's
And
crazy to me.
Eighth?
Yes. So there's some that they played more. Yeah, number 8, 8th most played Grateful Dead song. And it is one of the biggest selling albums that they have. So it was one of the entry points for me because it's kind of country-ish. It's one of their most country-ish albums for Grateful Dead. And then also I think there's Working Man Blues is another entry point. Has most of their biggest hits on it. As a single, when this came out, there's a B-side and it was called Ripple, which is a very famous Grateful Dead like jammy song. So if you're into the Dead, you'll know the song Ripple. And if you're not into the Dead, it's a good song to listen to. So I invite anybody to check it out because I had the greatest hits, and that was about as far as my knowledge went of the Grateful Dead. And then I delved in, I don't know, about 10 years ago and decided I actually like quite a bit of their stuff from the 70s. So that's that tie-in. So I'll see if I can find that logo while maybe you or Dolan talks for a second.
Dolan, I want to understand, as someone who is younger than Brian and I, right, but is very much into music. What is your like familiarity with The Walking Dead with The Grateful Dead, with The Walking Dead, with Shane and Rick and Andrea and with the Grateful
so the Grateful Dead is always something that it was weird for me because my dad grew up with them, right? And so I'm kind of on that teeter where I was the last of the millennials, the start of the centennials, I guess, if you want to talk generations.
Yep.
And so it was really weird to see my dad, who is a millennial, be really into Grateful Dead or have friends that are into Grateful Dead, and then see some of my friends growing up into the Grateful Dead. I've always been kind of more on the modern side of music. I'm always like exploring new music all the time. So for me, the Grateful Dead doesn't really have an impact on me except for the fact that, my dad and his friends listen to it. So when it comes to them, I think it's more like it's like a Jimi Hendrix thing. Like I respect him, but it's not on my playlist.
It's interesting too, and Brian, maybe you can back me up on this because Brian and I are I'm a little bit older, not much, a couple of years,
right?
But all of my friends and people that I have met, Steve Ryan is another one like this that went through kind of a discovery phase after it. Mine was somewhere in between. So I was a freshman in 1988. I graduated in 1992. So I was right in the middle of hair metal and then the beginning of grunge.
Grunge, yeah.
Right? Somewhere in between, I got sick of modern music and I went looking for something else. And I found the Doors and the Beatles. Yeah. And it seemed like there were a couple of different, I was not alone. People my age did that.
Sure.
And they either found the Beatles, or they found Led Zeppelin, or they found the Grateful Dead.
So that's interesting you say that because it's very similar to the way that my dad put it. He said, like, I was really into he was really into the grunge before grunge became like mainstream. Mm-hmm. So as soon as Nirvana became big, he was like, I'm done with Nirvana. I'm done with all this grunge music. I'm done with everything. And that's where his discovery of the Beatles came from. I mean, he's always been appreciative of it, but he really dove in when that happened. And he says the same thing about Grateful Dead, where, it's like you're either like Beatles, Zeppelin, or Grateful Dead.
Or Grateful Dead, right. And it depends on where you landed on the Beatles spectrum too. So I landed on maybe some of their middle stuff. If you landed on some of their psychedelic stuff first, it's no surprise maybe you ended up then with the Grateful Dead later.
Right. Or, you had the people who were wrong and ended up on the Rolling Stone side, which
or the Who, stupid.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah.
I like all those. Here's the thing about the Grateful Dead, right? They're not very good. Like, they're not. Jerry Garcia wasn't a great singer, and their instrumentation isn't amazing. But they're popular, man, and they've got their own culture, and that's really what a lot of it was. Like, they came out of mid 60s, out of San Francisco, same time as like Jefferson Airplane and Mamas and the Papas and that sort of stuff. But they were, potheads. That's basically what Grateful Dead was. Yeah. So in my day in high school, if you wore a tie-dye shirt and smoked a little weed somewhere, you probably were into the Grateful Dead. I was more of a like you in high school. I was a Doors guy. And I discovered the Beatles when that whole documentary came out, and they started doing those reissues and that sort of thing. So that's like where it led me. But then later on, when I kind of found myself looking at the Grateful Dead, it basically was through Ryan Adams. He had an album called Cold Roses, a double album that was very influenced by Grateful Dead. And then there's also which will probably be something Dolan could be into. A couple of years ago, there was a tribute album that came out. I think it was at least 2 albums, maybe 3. And it was fronted and like produced by one of the guys from The National. And he was just a huge Grateful Dead fan. So there's a bunch of indie artists doing Grateful Dead songs. So their influence is still today felt, especially like War on Drugs. That's a band that does a little noodling, and that's kind of what Grateful Dead was known for. And like, it's really spread everywhere. So it's a band that a lot of people that are into music like. And I think it's one of the reasons is, their big hits are number 64 and number 18 for Touch of Grey. Like, they didn't have a number 1 hit. They were amazed to even have a video on MTV. Like, that was how I found out about them. So they're always there. They're just one of those bands that influenced some of the stuff you listen to, maybe without even knowing it.
It's one of those things where, like, if your only introduction to Nirvana was Nevermind, you never knew that there was an album called Bleach. Yeah, that cost $600 to make, that everybody in Seattle listened to. That was like that everyone loved.
That came out in the 80s, by the way.
Yeah. And if you go back and listen to Bleach, like, it's like that. It's raw and almost at times almost unrehearsed, maybe sounding. But it's fantastic. It's what you would expect when you went, like college age.
Sure.
Go listen to your friend's band and they're just jamming.
Well, and that's why, as much as I knock on it, as much as I hate this genre of music, but punk is kind of encompasses all of that. Just especially early punk music too. They just that's what it was. It was just the raw, this is who we are, this is what I'm going to listen to. And
you literally had people playing instruments that didn't know how to play them.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, like the Sex Pistols, like they didn't know how to play their instruments.
Even today, I run into punk bands and I find out like that, a guitar player that I auditioned for a band like 2 months ago is already playing with a punk band. And, I'll go and watch them or whatever. And I just understand like, like they're, but it is what it is. And people love it. And it's hard as a musician to,
it hurts my heart that because I love you, it hurts my heart that you don't love the Ramones, because the Ramones to me I don't know. It's so just music in its purest form. Like they just wanted to, they were young and they had angst and they were just, it was just, and they were just getting it out.
But that's what I mean. Like the market of, you don't necessarily have to be, it wasn't just about the music. It was more about the movement and the feeling and the community more than anything, I think.
As someone who, I don't know anybody that listens to more music than I do. Right.
Yeah.
I don't
know anybody who does either.
Been in some bands. I've sang, like I've done it. I'm a firm believer that not everybody needs to make music, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm with you, Dolan. The Ramones, I don't care. I don't care about them. Whatever. The whole punk thing, it was an aesthetic. It was a movement.
Right.
For me, it doesn't influence me or impact me in any sort of way, except the Clash. They were pretty badass.
Okay,
they can actually play their instruments.
I do like the Clash. I do like some Clash.
Man.
So this one, the next part I have, this is the actual research I thought of. And this is going to hit Rich right in the guts, and he's going to love it. What's the name of the brewery?
Mothers. Oh, yay.
1988. August.
Okay.
Self-titled album comes out. It's called Danzig.
Mm.
And there's a song on it called Mother.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get, put it here.
Just for a second.
But make sure you get the 93 edit version. Don't get the 88 one.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Because the 93 one's where it's at.
Yes.
So here we go.
At the end of it, Glenn says, "Thank you." That's how you know that's the one.
Yeah. Because
telling you
it's the live hit.
Yes.
So that comes out 6 years later. For some reason, they do an edit, a 93 edit. And it gets a little bit popular. It's on the Buzz Bin.
A
on
little
MTV.
bit. A lot bit.
Well, I mean, for them, it was their biggest hit. It continues to be the biggest hit.
Okay.
The story goes, he wrote the song, kind of like woke up, wrote it down, kind of like Slash and Paul McCartney have done, Keith Richards. And this time, he calls Rick Rubin, who they're working with in 1988. He's, Rick Rubin is still up and coming at that time, and he's working with Danzig. And they're recording an album, and he's like, Rick, I just wrote the best song I've ever written. It's the song I've always wanted to write. It's so good. And they play it the first time live, and the crowd loves it. And then in the 90s, I think what happened was it was on an episode of Beavis and Butthead. And that's where that edit comes from.
It was either Beavis and Butthead or 120 Minutes, one of the two.
Well, I wrote it down. One episode came out in 93, which was called Couch Surfing.
Mm.
And then in 94, it was in another episode called Crisis Line.
Mm.
And there was a 94 edit made as well. So there's an 88 version, a 93 version, and a 94. The 93 one is the one that was like the biggest charting version for them.
Yes.
Guitar Hero.
Yep.
It's on Guitar Hero. You're right.
Yeah.
It had a video back in 1988. This was like prime MTV time. So videos were happening, and there might have been one non-video thing on, and that might have been that dating game show. Remember that one? Or the one with, no, not even that, the trivia one that had Adam Sandler on it and Colin Quinn.
Remote Control.
Yes.
Yes.
So that might have been the non-video show back then. So that was all music all the time.
Yep.
And the video was rejected by MTV because in it, I think it was Danzig Glenn. Well, they made it look like, he didn't do this really, but it made it look like they sacrificed a chicken, like a live chicken. They killed it in the video. They took its blood. They made an inverted cross. And the MTV was like, no, we're not going to show that.
They got a lot of backlash from the dead fish at the end of the Faith No More
Epic
video.
Yeah.
Epic, yeah. So
slow
they got a lot of
motion.
shit from that, so I can see why.
So that video was one of the things targeted by old Tipper Gore. And Rich will remember this. And I remember too. There was like congressional hearings about music and lyrics and how in that video games was making our kids terrible, and we shouldn't let this, and we need to have these parental advisory things, and that's one of the things that really pushed it forward. And of course Danzig, he did not like that. He did not agree. Art is art. You should not tell anybody what they can and cannot consume, especially little children. I don't know, whatever. I saw it, so I guess I'm still here. But that was a big turning point, and we still there's Tipper. He was on the board.
I don't think they're
or
married
whatever.
anymore. I don't
know. So the parental advisory thing passes. It's still around today. If you buy music, if you're listening even on Spotify, if something's on there, it'll say explicit. There's warnings all about it, and this is one of the pieces of art that caused that stir. As Dolan said before, this was on Guitar, what was it? Hero?
Guitar Hero. Yep.
Guitar Hero. This song has a lot of covers of it, mostly metal. So Anne Berlin, am I saying that right? That's a band that has a cover of this.
Wow.
Coheed and Cambria has a cover of this.
Both very good bands.
Sleater Kinney has a cover of this, which is a little bit weird. Ryan Adams has covered it acoustically, so it's a lot slower version. And then it's like a husband-wife, almost acoustic-y kind of duo called Y Oak. They have a cover of it too. So it's all over the place. People in all different genres cover it. It's showed up in pop culture in a lot of different places. It's in Hangover Part 3, which unfortunately I have never seen. It was in a movie that came out last year called Tag. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like 3 buddies or whatever, and they played tag or something.
Oh, yeah.
Was in that. It's been in the Cleveland Show. It's been in the video game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So it's one of the songs you can hear on the radio as you're driving around. It's on the show Portlandia. This was interesting, I thought. 2003 and 2004, Boston Red Sox. One of those years they won the World Series, 2004, I believe.
2004, yeah.
And their closer was Keith Folk, and that was his walk-up song. So coming out of the bullpen, he had Mother. Yeah. So one of the early adapters of tunes. I think, what was it? Mariano Rivera had Inner Sandman.
Inner Sandman.
So this was his version of that.
Who's
Mother?
The current Cubs closer that was the closer for the Red Sox. Why can't I remember his name? He came out to Stranglehold.
Oh, yeah?
Which it was possibly one of the coolest things I'd ever seen at a ballpark. We were at, this was, 4 years ago, at Fenway Park. And they have the ribbon boards all the way around and all of that. So he comes out to Stranglehold at the end. And they're playing the Cubs, and clearly we're losing if he's coming out to close the game because he's playing for the Red Sox at the time, obviously.
Sure.
Every board had fire on it. It was like Fenway Park was on fire. It was, and they cranked it. Like some of the music was loud. Yeah. This was loud, like Major League playing Wild Thing loud.
Yeah.
And it was impressive. Like I thought, shit, we're losing, but this is damn cool.
It's like an intimidation thing.
Totally.
You'd have to think, wouldn't it? Like, it's already hard enough to hit a baseball.
Craig Kimbrell, that's his name. Craig Kimbrell would come out to Stranglehold, and it was crazy good.
I think most people, like Dolan just sang it a little bit ago, most people know that part of the song, right?
Yep.
This is where This is where it charted. So back in '88, this was like as high as it got, or maybe this was 93 numbers, but it got to number 20 in Finland because they were from Middle Eastern Europe, I believe, is where this guy originated from. It got to number 17 on the U.S. rock charts. It hit 93 in Germany, and it was number 62 in UK. That's their big hit. And that's the song I know from Danzig.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's the song most people know from Danzig.
Yes.
And it might be probably because I saw Beavis and Butthead laughing about the video. That might be why I know it.
Yeah.
But it's called Mother, and it's at least worth hearing one time.
So you can actually buy his belt buckle that he wore in the video, right? Because everyone remembers just like the devil skull belt.
Well, that was the album cover too.
Yes. You can buy that now on Etsy or eBay. Yeah.
I'm going to do a callback because I found the information. Here's the original Grateful Dead logo, Walking Man guy.
There you go.
So it's kind of a shout out on the can of 2 legs sprayed out, and you can't really see the rest of him, but
it totally is.
That's what it looks like.
Yep.
So that's what I got for us. Musical related. Wasn't on purpose, but just kind of fell in my lap.
You know what? After I looked at it, I kind of figured and Long Strange Trip, right? I mean, it's just, it says it right up there at the top, all the way around. Yep. I kind of figured, I thought maybe you'd go R. Crumb, the comic book artist on that.
That'd be cool. I would like to do that eventually at some point in time. There might even be a documentary on him actually out there, but
there is. I've watched it. It's quite good. Yep. And then, gosh darn it, they did a movie. There was a movie about it too,
Oh, really?
and it was played by. Oh man, he died. Gosh darn it. No, I'm sorry. I was not Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's not who I was thinking of. This ties back to baseball. He's the son of the old baseball commissioner. And he's an actor. What is that guy's name? Anyway,
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti played R. Crumb. And
Boom.
it was really, really good.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to find it.
Paul Giamatti is the guy that hates Pete Rose. Baseball.
That's why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
That's exactly why he's not.
I remember having his baseball card, 1990 Donruss, the Giamatti commissioner card was red. Yeah.
Why does the commissioner need a baseball card?
Because he's the commish.
Be like having a Joe West baseball card.
You need 2 cards.
That's
an inside baseball joke.
It'd be a landscape card. Oh man! See, Dolan
Google that, everybody. Yeah,
he's fat, Dolan. He's big and fat.
He's a big umpire, real big.
And he's an idiot.
And he really likes to be the star of the show.
Oh, he loves it. He thinks that the baseball. He thinks you're there to watch him.
Yeah, he's one of those umpires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he totally thinks that you're there to watch him.
So where are we at on this thing? Okay.
Yep. I didn't finish checking in my last beer here.
Also,
so I should probably do this real quick. There we go.
There's another version of this I saw on their beer board on their website.
Is it the double?
I don't know if it was a series that they made. It was like their summer version.
Oh.
I don't know if it had raspberry or it was some sort of other, or mango maybe. There was a fruit in it.
That'd be good.
But it was their summer version of this. And I didn't even know this was a thing, but I guess, New England IPAs are where it's at. So if it tastes like this, I would definitely try it.
I will check with Aaron Biddle as soon as we are done here and see if we can get that one.
We need the summer.
So
let's say it right. Chugsuckle.
Chugsuckle.
Yeah.
Brian, you've checked this in.
No way.
You have 2 years ago.
I don't even remember.
September 21st, 2018. You checked in this beer.
Did I at least go 4?
You did.
Okay, because I'm going to up it today.
I want to see. It doesn't say where you checked.
Oh, bummer.
No. Darn
it had to have been in Kansas City.
View details. Hang on. Let's see. You said the profile was citrus and smooth, but it doesn't say where you. Gosh darn! It doesn't say where you.
Because it doesn't. This isn't a beer we get here, so I had to have been in Missouri probably at some point.
Yeah. So 8,360 check-ins. Where do you think we fall?
8,300.
3.74. 3.8.
3.83.
Dang.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
A lot of 4s.
I'm gonna pump it up to 4.25 actually.
So I checked it in once. I checked it in when I did it originally at a 4. I will probably again go a 4 on it. It's a 4 or 4.25. It's right in there.
So what do you think about this versus the Fairy Nectar?
Well,
I mean,
turn off the recording.
Come on.
You got to be with Fairy Nectar.
Well, of course. Here's the thing. This is closer to the double dry hop, right? This is closer to London style.
Yeah.
And London style double dry hop Fairy Nectar is, in my book, there isn't one better.
Yeah.
You can argue it.
Sure.
I mean, you can, it's fine, but like that one's it for me.
An unbiased me, because I don't have any strings attached to Kros Strain by any means. I will definitely say this. I think that it would be good competition if you were to put it next to each other. So
I can't argue that at all.
I can't say one is better than the other because I don't know. I mean, I would drink both all day.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Dolan makes me feel like one of the CNBC guys. Like as I give my opinion, I have to say like I own 1.26% of Kros Strain Brewing Company or something. No, because they have to I don't like this, but I also own puts.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they have to say that
say
people don't do something right. Right.
I don't know, but either way, we all win because that was a good beer, right?
It was a good
They're
beer.
both good beers.
Really good beer. And like I said, I'm in Springfield in a couple days. I am going to be filling up on some mothers.
And you get Dolan, you got to look for whatever the summer version is.
Summer one is, yeah. I don't know if they can it. It might just be at the brewery, but I saw it on their website when I was looking around.
Hey, Springfield is only a 5-hour drive, maybe 6-hour drive. So
you gonna get that mac and cheese?
Oh, of course, I'm gonna get that mac and cheese. That's a thing I'm gonna do the first day and the second day and the third day that I'm there.
That's the whole reason for the trip.
Yep. And client manager Shannon Conley swears that Springfield has the best Chinese food. And she lived in California, so
that's so weird.
All right.
We're going to find out.
That's so weird.
I trust you, so we'll see. We'll see what you say.
I guess. I don't know. We'll see. All right,
see.
So we're heading into August, right? When we've turned the corner on summer kind of ish.
I want it to be fall. Is it too early for that wish?
That's it,
we're
Brian.
2 weeks into August, so
right? I
We're
mean,
close.
So Brian, how close are we to an Oktoberfest?
Beer coming into stores? Oh, at least by the end of August they'll be in the stores.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
I guess so. So that's it. So that we got to decide what we're going to do. We're going to hit 2 more just like regular beers, or are we going to dive headfirst into fall beers?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I would, if we're going to do Oktoberfest, I want to try to do something that we haven't done before, obviously.
Absolutely.
But I'm down for whatever. But I am a sucker for those malty beers, and that's about the only time of year we can get those. So
I love a good Oktoberfest. So as Marsden as it comes, that's I love that. That's good.
It's so weird but yeah, it's true. It's almost here.
It is almost here.
This year has been a weird year.
Stupid and weird and
understatement of the century.
Yeah. But you know what we can do? We can drink some good beers and forget all about it.
Yep. You can definitely do that. I mean, I don't have any more of those, but I have other ones. Yeah.
Well, we'll drink some Oktoberfest beers. That should be coming here pretty soon.
Coming up soon.
All right. Well, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.